Good morning, everyone. In the spirit of applying what we're learning here, I'm going to start my presentation in a completely different way than I had planned. I'm going to take a page out of Jill's playbook and ask people to participate with me for just a moment. If you need corrective lenses, glasses, contact lenses, or have had laser surgery in order to see properly, please stand up. Okay, that's pretty compelling. If you don't sit yet. If you don't have access to those glasses, please sit down. If you can't get those glasses, please sit down. I don't see anyone sitting down. If we were in India or in Africa, there would be about 5 people standing right now. Result of the second question. Please sit down. Let me start by sharing a moment that changed my life. It was in 1983. I was a first-year student studying optometry in Boston, and I joined an organization that brought eye care services to underserved populations in rural Mexico. We got to the clinic. There was a line of 2,000 people out the door and around the block. My very first patient was a 7-year-old boy from the School for the Blind. And this boy carried a double burden. One, he was blind, and 2, his family was ostracized from their community because of his blindness. I took a look at the boy, and I knew really quickly that he was above my pay grade as a first-year student. And so I called my professor over, and she took a long, hard look, and she turned back to me, and she said, "Jordan, this boy isn't blind. He's just profoundly, profoundly nearsighted." And we had brought 5,000 pair of glasses categorized by power. She said, "Go to the strongest box and see if there's anything that's remotely close to what he needs." And I did, and sure enough, there was this pearl of a pair of glasses that was like 90% his prescription. And I was the lucky person who got to put those glasses on that boy's face. Now, beforehand, he couldn't see if I had 2 fingers this close to his eyes. And as the lenses aligned with his eyes, this blank stare of a blind person transformed into this beautiful, universal smile of joy of a 7-year-old boy. And talk about shiny eyes. Those were the shiniest eyes I've ever seen in my life. And talk about radiating possibilities. This boy's possibilities opened up like that. He was one moment a blind boy, and the next moment he was a sighted child. But equally for me, possibilities radiated. It was the first time in my life that I could see fundamentally how I can make a difference in someone's life. And I started to say, well, that's what success is. If I could keep moments like that happening around the world, then I'd be a successful person. So I became very passionate about this work. And after graduating from school, I had an opportunity to work in over 40 countries, dealing with some of the most terrible blinding diseases. And I saw a really interesting pattern. And that was, for every person who was blinded, there were 50 people coming to me because they couldn't see to work. And all they needed were the kind of glasses that you or I could go to CVS and buy off the rack for $10. You see, in these parts of the world, people earn their living with their eyes and their hands. They're weavers and tailors and artisans and goldsmiths and mechanics and barbers. And in their 40s, as their near vision fails, so does their ability to earn a living. They can't go to the CVS. And so right at the height of their skill sets, right when they're the masters of their crafts, right when they're at the economic center of their community, supporting children on one side and elderly parents on the other, their vision starts to fade, and so does their income. And all for the lack of a pair of glasses that I can source in China for 70 cents. Bizarre. And so I said to myself, well, no one else is paying attention to this problem. Maybe I should try to do something about it. Everyone seems to be more concerned with these terrible blinding disorders, but this very low-grade sort of natural aging process of the eye that's wreaking economic havoc out there, no one's addressing. And the other thing that I noticed when I talked to people all around the world and I asked them what they needed, there was that universal list. They needed health, they needed education, but more than anything, they asked for jobs because people all around the world want to be self-reliant. And so I started to put one and one together, and I said, well, there's a lot of people losing jobs because they can't see. There's a lot of people who need jobs. Why not create jobs selling those glasses to the people who need them? Here we can just go to the store and buy them off the rack. Can't be too complicated. So we created our business in a bag. It's a backpack about this big and it has all the contents to start a small business being a barefoot optometrist in your village. And we started with 18 women. And I'll just tell you a quick story of how it kind of works. From the customer's perspective, I'll tell you the story of Chandra. He's a 40-something-year-old tailor, lives in South India, had a successful business, was making about 20 saris a month, and then in his 40s, vision started to fade, his quality of work plummeted. Next thing you know, he was making 15 saris, and then all the way down to 10 saris, and he was about to close his store. He talked about his loss of dignity. He talked about lots of stress at home because of the economic stress caused by this. And in comes Rama Devi, our vision entrepreneur. That's what we call our women who we help start these businesses. And she comes into his store, does a quick vision screening after 3 days of training, and determines he needs just a pair of plus 250 reading glasses. And in an instant, again, Chandramouli could see like he used to. And he told us about his 18-month journey, going from 10 saris, rebuilding his business, back to 20 saris a month. And he shook his head at the end, and he sort of said in amazement, and all because of the lack of a $4 pair of glasses. He bought the glasses for $3.75 from Rama Devi. Rama's story is also compelling. Mother of two, husband out of work for many years. She was earning $20 a month when we met her. And within 3 months, she became our #1 salesperson in her district, and she was earning $100. She also realized that although she was now sending her kids to better schools, bought a better roof for her house, bought a refrigerator, a better sewing machine, that it would run out if she didn't build her territory. So she convinced her husband to buy a motorcycle with the savings that they had, and now she hires her husband and employs her husband as her driver. So this is a nice story. So where are we going from here? Well, we started with 18 people like Rama Devi. That was 5 years ago. Today we have 5,200 women in business in 10 countries. Thank you. That's the good news. The bad news is we haven't even made a small scratch on the problem. 400 million people like Chandra, most who we don't get to in time, whose businesses do go out of business. So we have a long way to go. We'll be making a commitment at the Clinton Global Initiative in September to go from 5,000 vision entrepreneurs to 30,000 vision entrepreneurs in the next 3 years, now that we have our scaling model. We will be selling, over that period of time, 2 million pair of glasses to people like Chandra. And so what do we need to make that happen? Well, just like any organization, we need resources, both human and financial resources. Human resources, we're trying to build out our board. We need good board members. We need people with CFO experience, with franchising experience, with supply chain management experience, with marketing experience. Maybe sounds familiar to some people out there. We also need resources. We need people to help support Rama Devi's. For $100, you could put a woman like Rama Devi in business and start her business in a bag. If you want to get more involved with the Clinton Global Initiative, we're trying to raise $5 million to blow this thing out to 30,000 more people. And we're successful in that we've already raised 3.2. So we're needing about $1.8 million to work with the Clinton Global Initiative to expand to that level. So I'll just leave you by thinking about the fact that when everyone stayed standing, in most parts of the world, there would only be 5 people standing. Most people aren't so fortunate to have access to that simple product. 700 years in existence, but still 95% of people don't have access to it. Thank you very much.